Welcome to the Law, Your Money, and You. I'm Roberta Saphire, an attorney in Sharon, Massachusetts.
And I'm Camille Barron, a financial coordinator, also in Sharon, Massachusetts. And today we're going to be continuing our series, Behind the Scenes with the Law, Your Money, and You.
Yes, and one of the things that we've been working on behind the scenes is our activity coloring book. Police officers are our friends, holding them up so you see we have more than one going on. This was made for Sharon and very individualized. And over the past few weeks, we have inquiries from over 18 police stations in Massachusetts.
That is amazing. In fact, I think this that happened because we had it posted on our website. Is that right?
Right, and it's been seen from places. There's a place called Lanesboro, Lunenburg. Some are on the New York border, but they're all the same. They're all looking for an activity book that we offer called Police Officers Are Our Friends.
And didn't we even have a police department in North Carolina?
Yes.
Inquiring about it?
Greensboro, North Carolina.
Imagine that.
Population of 300,000. Down to Little Hopedale, I think the population is 3 or 4 or maybe 5,000. But they all want the same thing, and it's all so easy for them to get started. All they do is send us their police badge and their 3 links, which are on the front page, and their business phone number. And with a day or two, our interns send them back the cover.
It's fantastic.
And we get comments such as, I love it, I love it, oh, that's perfect, oh, that's perfect. And then they start to loosen up and send us, oh, how about this, how about that? And that's as easy.
And maybe for the viewers who are not yet familiar with Police Officers Are Our Friends, maybe I could just ask you to kind of get into what prompted this in the first place and what we did to create these.
Well, we work not just on Police Officers Are Our Friends, but financial literacy, service animals, scams, different things, hoarding programs, real estate. This was part of, I think we got a grant against violence, and we were working with the Bridgewater State University on the cyberbullying.
Right.
To get back on the cyberbullying, I'm going to start going off on a tangent behind the scenes. But every school district in Massachusetts is required to have a cyberbullying program in place. So that really takes a lot of time because it's like 700 or 800 school districts, and we're working on them. So we thought, why not have an activity coloring book? Police are our friends. Police officers are our friends. And our local police really got into it. We have pictures in there of the local police. And it seems that every little kid, probably between the ages of 5 and 10, want one of these.
Yes.
And sometimes we individualize it, take a picture and make a line drawing out of it and substitute the kids for, individualized book. And so it just caught on. In fact, our local chief Kaufman said this is going to go viral.
Well,
and it started to.
And it's interesting because it just so happens.
Cheers.
Cheers. It just so happens that we're in a time now throughout the country where we have a lot of violence between police officers and members of the community. There's an awful lot of bad press. And one of the things we hear over and over is that the police and the communities have to become more friendly with each other. In fact, I think our local police chief, when he was installed, when he became the chief, that was one of his priorities that he said.
Right.
He wanted to be more involved with the community. And one of the things that they also say a lot is that you have to start the children when they're young, before their attitudes are ingrained.
In other words, don't say to the kids, if you're bad, I'll call the police on you. Because another one, I was talking to a police officer the other day, and he said that's so important because that way, if a kid is lost, they won't go to the police because they're learned you just go to the police if you're bad.
Right.
This way, if they're taught that they're your friend, then they'll go to them.
That is so
it's
important.
A win-win.
I think that that's so important, and we've heard it over and over, that children are so impressionable, naturally, So if they only see and hear bad things about the police, they have to run away, they have to be afraid, and that stays with them when they become teenagers and young adults. So that's why we're catching them at an age where they're really going to be able to absorb this. And if their parents can reinforce it with the same type of messages, then I think we have a real win-win.
Yeah, and the schools too. What all these police who are inquiring are saying is they wanted to give out to the children at school, not just at school, but at different events. So they really were interested. So it doesn't matter whether it's a small town or a large town. You have a saying about communities. It's not what the community does, it's what
It's not what the community does, it's what we do in the community.
Yeah, there you go. So it doesn't matter whether it's a small community or a big community. So besides that, we're working on the financial literacy fair. This is the third one. The local high school is basically on its own now. They're doing fantastic, and they're spreading the word, and they're doing it for every juniors, but there are other towns that don't offer financial literacy.
Right.
And there's a program, we were contacted by Massasoit. The program there is they want us to help them get financial literacy going too. And we're like the fellow on TV who goes around to businesses that aren't doing well, and we get the business back, and our percentage of it is the satisfaction that we're doing good.
Because of course we're a nonprofit. Now we not only have this wonderful show that everyone just loves, and it's available now in about 24 communities.
Yeah.
But above and beyond that, we're a nonprofit organization, and that's what allows us to do these things.
Yeah.
We really function on grants and donations. All of the funds are used to fund things like this. We give back to the community.
Sometimes postage. You know, the postage went up on the DVDs from like $1.10 to $2.40.
Right.
Yeah, is that funny?
Yes.
Is that funny? But we also help students. Katie, who's in our office there, she met this young student who is not as educationally endowed, but really got a good heart, and she like looks out for the family. But not only that, they go deliver DVDs. They're just wonderful. So we're finding people are coming to us who are not super brilliant, but who are super brilliant, who are older or younger. There's something for everybody, and the one thing they have in common is they want to help.
They do.
They want to help, and there's such a wonderful satisfaction in doing good. Now, the good thing about financial literacy is that's another thing with the country. If you have somebody financially literate, in other words, they know how to write checks, they know that they can't go out here because if they go here, then they can't afford this. If they know more about money, and that's our other saying, make money your friend.
Mm-hmm. We got lots of friends. The police and money.
Police and money.
I'd love to have more of both.
Yeah, and then they'll be able to get better jobs.
Right, and you know the financial literacy fair, we call it in Sharon the financial reality fair. It's called in other places the Credit for Life, but it's all based on giving students, juniors and seniors, an opportunity to role play as slightly older. They've graduated from college and they're out in the workforce now, and they're making X number of dollars, and they have to go around and make very important decisions that they will have to make when they get to that point. They're going to have to figure out how much are they going to pay for housing, how much are they going to pay for transportation, how much are they going to be able to afford to pay back their student loan. So what the whole purpose of this is to prepare people before they make those decisions, even about their education, so they'll be able to figure out what are the financial impacts. And what we're doing is we're taking the whole concept of the financial reality fair, and we're creating a follow-up series. We're going to be piloting it locally, but we're also going to be offering it in other places once we have that pilot.
Talking about the Bridgewater State? The new school there?
The seminars, the career, preparing for your career and within a financial framework. We're going to be partnering with we are partnering with the school, and we want to be able to do it for others so that students will be able to take what they learned at the financial fair and actually apply it and start to really prepare.
Well, we're also working with the Department of Economic Development. There's Scott Gild over there, and Cedric Turner, Empower Yourself. It's amazing where he takes kids from the 6th grade to the 12th and develops their financial prowess to a point that they've won contests. These are out of Brockton. They've won contests against other towns that were more affluent than theirs.
Yes, it's amazing. And that's why we say it's not about the community, it's about what we do in the community. When you realize that any community, and therefore any young person anywhere, regardless of their circumstances, regardless of the economics or anything, that they can be educated to the point where they excel above and beyond their peers in many, many places.
Right.
And that's amazing.
Okay, I want to go on to our next thing that we've been doing. See, we do a lot. That's because we get a lot of help.
And it's the law, your money, and you. You know, we specialize a lot in financial literacy, but I think our point today is not only that, but when it comes to the law part of our focus, it's pretty robust.
Oh, God, the law, the latest scam, the latest thing. It's like when you wake up in the morning and you go out the door, and if a tree falls down, you go, I wonder who's liable for that one.
Right.
Or the dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much. But along that line, we've been working with the cyberbullying, very, very active. And people think that cyberbullying is just when kids bully each other. You know, it used to be in person, but over the internet. But it's more than that. It's more than that. It's text messages, emails, rumors sent by email, pictures posted, embarrassing pictures. You know, with Photoshop today, they can do that. Videos, websites, false profiles.
Yeah, I remember somebody telling us, and I don't remember who it was, but it was a student, a former student, I should say, of the high school, who said that in jest, his friends, people at the school, created a fake Facebook profile, I think it was.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, it said things that were not very favorable.
Somebody just killed themselves. So there's always somebody killing themselves from that, and people don't realize how cruel they are.
No, it's amazing. And so it's more than just, as you say, it's more than just emails back and forth. It's public postings that are maybe untrue or disparaging about people.
And the person may not know about it, you know, until it's too late. Because I always say it takes years to make a reputation and this and that, and it can take 5 seconds to destroy it.
Absolutely can. Right.
People don't realize that what happens is with the cyberbullying, and with anything too, the destruction of somebody's reputation or personality is that they post things or they say things that they believe, sometimes they believe they're true, but they never checked with the person.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you did a lot of work in your law capacity with Bridgewater State University and the Mark Center, Massachusetts Aggression Reduction Center, and I think you even had an opportunity to review that recently enacted law in Massachusetts, didn't you?
Actually, several attorneys went over it with me. Glenn Hannington, Gary Bloom, our law student, Mark Paul Daniel, and actually you went over it too, as looking at it from a different perspective. And it's interesting how the reason we got on it was because the law is confusing. The law says that schools are supposed to set up a program, and it's supposed to give a sample program, but nobody can really figure it out. So what we're trying to, first we were trying to rewrite it into simple language, because that's another problem with the law. Like people who have wills, estates, trusts, they have these documents that nobody in the world understands. So there has been a trend to write in plain, simple language. So, like my son always says, nobody's going to understand that word. I says, well, it's a common word, inure, I-N-U-R-E, inure. I don't even know if I pronounce it right. So the benefits will inure to somebody. The damages will inure to somebody. He says, it's a legal word. So I says, well, so this is what I've been doing lately for him. Give me a chance to turn it around to try to put it in simple language. But it's like, I got to give you another example. Wills. People think they can make their own wills. That's the thing, too. They think that's why the cyberbullying law was put in. You can't handle it yourself. You have to go to the principal, and the principal has to show you what their plan is in place. But anyway, the wills, and for people out there that are about to make a will, you can't just take anything off the internet. There's a procedure, a legal procedure. You not only have to sign it with your witnesses have to have been standing in front of you, and they have to do it while you're signing it, not a week down the road or this or that. And another thing that people do, this is the latest thing, people give their property jointly to one of their children, thinking and expecting that that child is going to share with the others. And I have seen it. I've done volunteer work at the probate court. I've had cases this too. Everybody has a case like this. The child inherits it and then says, well, he wanted me to have it. And then the other two go in. I mean, you must know. I remember a friend of mine telling me how the mother passed away, the father remarried, he died, and then she saw the stepmother's children wearing her mother's jewelry.
Oh boy. Yeah.
And it happens all the time.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important you make out your documentation. Don't say I don't have anything. Somebody can have something. They can have zero. They can get hit by a car and have this giant lawsuit that brings in millions.
Yeah.
Well, then they have something.
Yeah.
So there's another caveat.
Now, on the cyberbullying, because you've read the law more closely, what do you think, when it's in place in the schools, what do you think it will change in terms of a student having been experiencing something? What will this law do for them, or what will they be able to do that maybe before the law was passed they wouldn't?
Well, I honestly think that nothing's going to happen unless the parents push it. Because it's difficult. I remember there was one time remember the group that they had this program where they could log on to their child's computer and it would record so that if somebody was sending their child text messages.
It retrieved the screen.
Screen retriever. And that enabled them to go into the principal and say, here's your evidence, now do something about it. Because you could have kids who go in too and say they're being cyberbullied and they haven't been.
That's true. It could be a reverse.
You just
have adverse effects in the reverse.
I think it was easier when you just went home from school and a bunch of kids jumped on you and beat you up.
At least there was physical evidence, right?
And Ma, they jumped me again today. Oh, you're just making it up. Oh, well, let me just put a Band-Aid on all those bruises. Anyway,
I remember one of our presidential candidates said that when she was young, this is how she learned to be really forthright and proactive. She said the kids were bullying me on the way home, and this, that, and the other. They were picking on me, and the mother says, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" And she learned how to fight for herself that way.
Really?
Yeah, instead of the mother saying, "Oh, well, I better call those parents." And
I used to run home crying.
I think you're probably like most kids would run home crying, and it is very hard because you don't really always have the proof.
No.
And especially most of the kids are using their phones, not the computer. You don't have a screen to retrieve sometimes.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Unless there's a text message.
But we're still working on the cyberbullying.
We are.
Then there's the issue of service animals.
Well, that is amazing.
That is getting more and more abused. We had somebody on the show who came from Springfield, and they were, what was it, a warrior for the warriors.
Yes.
The people, the veterans. But you have so many, because you can't ask people what does the service animal. I think you can ask them.
You can ask them what do they do, but you can't say what is your disability.
Yeah, but one of the things is, like, if you're a business, and I know a lot of businesses watch us too, because some of the topics we bring up is because we've been asked, so we like get them free advice in a way. But if somebody shows up with 2, right off the bat, you know they're not service animals, because you just need 1. And if they say, well, I leave them, like if it's a hotel or something like that, I leave it in the room when I'm not there, when I'm working. Well, that's another sign, because if you really have a service animal, the dog has to be with you 24 hours.
Oh, really?
And it's usually a dog. It's not a cat or a bird.
Oh, okay.
It's a dog.
Bird.
Yeah, if they have,
The bird gets on the plane with you.
Well, you know, little small dogs can get on the plane with you.
Yeah.
And the airport's airlines aren't going to like me now, but they don't really question. You know, you fill out a form and you can send away for the blanket, and you can send away for this, and you can send away for that. And it's really, I have seen people who are otherwise honest as the day is long, but they're going in there and they got to get their dog's credentials so they can get them on as a service animal.
Yeah, really.
So it really makes it tough.
So I'm glad you reminded me, because I know when we had the warrior, the warrior who helps veterans with post-traumatic stress. But you made a point that the dog has to be with you at all times. I know someone who did get a certificate to have the dog as a service animal, but she goes to work every day and the dog is not with her.
So it's really not a service animal. It's not a service animal. She just, anybody can buy those certificates. Sooner or later, they're going to kneel down on them.
Yeah. I mean, and that allows people to do a lot of things, like even bring them into restaurants where no pets are allowed and things like that.
And then you have people who have pet allergies, and they go to that restaurant because there's no pets allowed. And these dogs who want service animals run around. That's another thing. If they run around, service animal is trained to stay right by their side.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like the same idea as the seeing eye dogs, right? It's the same concept, where the person needs the dog to help them function.
Yes, help them function, because they're either, if they were veterans, they have that
PTSD, post-traumatic stress.
Post-traumatic stress. And there are people who haven't been veterans who have that too,
Oh, sure, there's plenty of it.
I met this woman at a craft fair. Remember we were talking about doing a craft fair? And she said she was saving up money to get another service dog, that she really couldn't go out. You know, she really felt stymied and trapped, because she needed that service dog, and she was saving her money. So it's interesting, people like that don't really have the help, or I don't know if they have the help. If anybody knows of where she can find the help, send it in to us, and we'd like to forward her that information. So some of the towns that inquired: Auburn, Air, Braintree, Brockton, Easton, Fairhaven, Hanson, Holbrook, Hopedale, Lanesboro, Lunenburg, Pittsfield, Reading, Stowe. There's a Stowe, Vermont, too.
Yes, there is, with an E at the end.
Oh, Wakefield, Webster. I don't know what Webster is. Weston, and Greensboro, North Carolina. With
Unbelievable.
A great Southern accent.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It's so interesting. We never really know what kind of an impact something will have. And this was, for the most part, this was your brainstorm. This was your idea. And you got our nice young man, Zachary, to work on this, and it's a great piece. Yeah. But I don't think you ever anticipated that it would have such widespread demand, did you?
No, actually it was Chief Kaufman who looked at it and said this is going to go viral. But one thing that I learned from it, and that people aren't aware of, do you ever notice that some officers have metal on their hats?
Yes.
And others have gold? So, and then how do you address them on the silver or gold stripes? It's really fascinating. So when you don't know the rank of a police officer, can you still say to them, "Hi, officer." Are you supposed to say sergeant? Are you supposed to say lieutenant?
Yeah.
I think it's say officer, lieutenant, and then
Officer,
sergeant.
or is it
Or is it
officer, sergeant, lieutenant, and
Oh, I'm
captain
gonna
and
be-
chief?
Yes, well, and deputy chief. And another
deputy
thing I
chief.
found out is that a lot of police stations don't have deputy chief, and they all seem to now have a community relations person.
That's fantastic,
It's-
and
it's
it's so
really-
so appropriate. In fact, the officer that we met in Brockton,
Yes,
that's exactly who she was.
And a
She
lot
was
of women too. A
lot of
of women.
Yes,
A lot of
yeah.
women, and they don't work 9 to 5. They work like I get emails 11 o'clock at night while they're
Yeah,
working,
amazing.
and it really is fascinating. But our Brighten Up campaign, we have the Brighten Up Club. We're going through this. Oh, and some of our interns went to RILA, which is a leadership.
Rotary Youth Leadership.
Leadership is the Empower Yourself, and you've got to be kidding. And for this occasion, we've been doing so much that instead of the usual, you've got to be kidding. There's so much you've got to be kidding. We got a giant you've got to be kidding bag. Don't worry, it's not going to stay up for long, because here's a nice new you've got to be kidding bag.
And just for folks who are not familiar with our bag, YGTBK, you've got to be kidding.
Let us stay. Yeah, is that cute?
Yeah, so what do we got in our Gotta Be
What
Kidding
do we
bag?
got? Well, first of all, I want to mention our newest intern who, this is another thing they never knew of. Do you know what high school students call themselves now? If they go into their junior year and say after they finish their sophomore year and then they're going to be juniors next, they're called a rising junior.
Is that so?
Yeah, well, Gotham Goyle, who's of Indian descent, and I say that because we have Chinese, we have Italian, we have Haitian, all helping us.
Yes.
Really diversity.
Yeah.
We're really diversity. And he is a rising senior.
So he'll be going into his senior year.
Yes.
Oh,
And
interesting.
he formed last year the first United Nations club in Sharon High School.
The United
So-
Nations Club.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to go places. He might become the next president. Although I say one of my grandchildren, no, they'll all be presidents. But for, we talked, we didn't finish. I don't think we have time to go with different topics. The new 40-hour plus law is big.
But people can go to archive.org,
Oh,
right?
Right.
People can go to archive.org and see just about any show that we've
Yeah.
produced.
You just type in my name or your name.
It's been Roberta
We
Saphire,
get equal billing.
Camille, Barron, and
But there's one that we're trying to get in here, Attorney Jay Bronstein, who's just brilliant. I mean, there's so many of them. If I don't mention your name, write me. I'll make sure we mention it the next time. On hoverboards. And hoverboards
yes.
are getting noted.
Yes.
There's additives and preservatives we didn't touch on. Time hoarding, the scam. But the latest scam, and you've got to be
Okay,
kidding.
what is it? What's the latest scam?
Puppyfind.com.
And what is that?
That's you're looking for a puppy. Lately, everybody's looking for a puppy, so they go to this puppyfind.com that promises them the sun, the moon, and the earth, and a dog, and they don't deliver. So beware of buying dogs over the internet.
Well, as a matter of fact, interestingly, not puppies, but I was listening to one of the radio talk shows last night when I was driving, and this really was the case. The guest brought a cat with him from Florida, excuse me. He flew from Florida to Massachusetts with a cat because he wanted to give the cat away to be adopted, and the cat was in the studio as a guest. No, that's it. Tell you got to
That
be kidding.
was really a dog. Yeah, you've got to be kidding on
All right,
that.
so we're going to have to wrap up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that
every
was
now and
very
then
nice.
we like to do this behind the scenes because a lot of people ask us, well, what are you doing now?
Yeah.
We want to know more.
We like
and this
to
is
talk
a way
to each other.
we know what we like to share. And the most important thing is that the true beneficiaries of all the things we're doing are the young people and the others in our communities who need some sort of help or just want more awareness about financial or legal affairs. And that's why we're so happy and we appreciate everybody's help and the donations that we get. If you would like to join our team, or if you have any other suggestions about future topics, please let us hear from you. Because remember, this is your show. The law, your money, and you.